Mr. Campbell. How you doing, man? It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Good, Tiki. Yeah, it has been a long time.
Now, when this first came down, and Steve Ross, who was the owner, was thinking about what's going to happen in the interim, did you think that you were going to get the job?
No, I didn't. There again, I've been here. This is my sixth season with the Dolphins, so obviously I've seen a lot. I've been around a lot of these guys, and I've obviously seen more downs than ups with this organization. And, he chose to go like my way, and I didn't find out until the day everything happened. So it was a whirlwind, to say the least.
So when it did come down, Dan, what was your first thought? What did you think needed to change immediately? Because we know what we saw on video and reports and things of that nature. But what did you see was wrong with this Dolphin squad?
It's funny. One of the first things I did on the flight home from London, this is when all this happened, is we had lost, our third straight game, and I watched the tape, and then I just wrote down from an offensive perspective things that I felt like we needed to be better with, not only my own position group, but just offensively, and I had pages of notes, and this was just me trying to help out any little way that I could in the position that I was in and what I thought we could be better at. But one of the things that I identified, two things, I didn't feel like that we were physical enough in practice like we were in training camp, because we had a really good training camp, and then I just felt like our practices were too long. And when you're in South Florida and you're trying to practice 2.5 hours and you're trying to grind it out of them, what you're creating is you're training a lot of guys that won't quit or give up, but it becomes a marathon.
Yeah.
Football is not a marathon, it's a sprint.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I identified. So I just wanted to bring that back. I wanted a lot of more one-on-one matchups in practice with their teammates watching, and there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and find out which guys really wanted to win and showcase what they had in front of their peers.
Now, Dan, I know that you have a lot of mentors in your career, I should say, as a coach. But one that I know that you had is Coach Pope. Did you reach out to Coach Pope, who was your tight end coach? He was obviously my tight end coach as well. Not that I played tight end, but he was a coach with the Giants when I was there. He goes to Dallas. He immediately resurrects that run game down there for the Cowboys, and they led the league in rushing last year. You came to the Dolphins as the head coach and said, look, we're going to emphasize the run. How much influence did some of those older coaches, particularly Coach Pope, have on your job as the head coach, interim right now, though, for the Dolphins?
Well, I would certainly say a lot just from overall, just as a coach. Most of the things that I've taken and I've used have come from Pope, especially specific to the position that I was coaching. But just like Tiki, Pope was instrumental in a lot of things that we did at New York when he came in.
Yep.
And those are things that I've always thought about and believed in. And you can always find good runs if you know how to scheme them up. And he was huge. He's one of those. To me, he's the best tight end coach in the league, but he's one of the best coaches that the NFL has to offer, and he has been historically. And he's been a huge influence. He's really helped me out. We've had conversations back and forth, and you know what I think about him. He's one of those guys. He really helped me. I still say this to this day. I was fortunate to get 11 years in the league. Had I not had Pope, I would have probably fizzled out in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, certainly. It is a big influence, and to me, that's the way you got to identify what the strength of your team and what you do best and what you're suited to do. And to me, that's what we have to be able to do. It's good for our quarterback. It's good for our offensive line. We have some backs that can run, and so you have to establish the run game.
Mm-hmm. We're talking to Dan Campbell, the Dolphins interim head coach, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Coach, you know the old adage. You either have a quarterback or you're looking for one. And, in the NFL, it's really what separates the men from the boys. And Tiki and I have worked together for a little bit more than 3 years now, and we have always liked Ryan Tannehill. But he is going to be 28 this summer. He started 60 games. So there's a pretty lengthy body of work to really accurately judge him on. And I'm suddenly not sure about Ryan Tannehill. And I know he's got the financial commitment. That's one aspect of it from the franchise. But Are you and the rest of the franchise convinced that he truly is the franchise quarterback moving forward?
Well, we signed him here for a reason, long term. He brings a certain skill set that not a lot of guys have, and I'll just say this about Ryan. You know, as it goes with the rest of this team, he needs to play better, and better days are ahead of him. Better days are ahead of us, but ultimately, there is a certain way to play this game with Ryan Tannehill, and there's a certain way to use him and ask him to be used. And you know, that's what we're trying to get back to be honest with you. I mean, there's very few quarterbacks in this league that you can just ask to throw the ball 50-something times, and you feel pretty good about that. And obviously Brady and Rodgers and Breeze and, you know, everybody else, you have to identify their strengths and then what your team does well. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I think he can be the future for this team, you know, and we just have to use him the right way.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that